My name is Neil Rockhind. I'm a trial lawyer, and my nickname is the Rockweiler for my unique courtroom style. And this is the Killer Cross-Examination Podcast. For those who follow the podcast, you know that I usually interview guests. I interview some of the top trial lawyers in the country about their approach to cross-examination and what I like to refer to my style of cross-examination as killer cross-examination. I've talked to some of the best lawyers in the history of the legal system, and I've got interviews coming with some of the very best trial lawyers here and all over the country, some who've won some of the most significant and biggest cases in recent memory and historically. But I'm not here today to interview them. I just want to take a little bit of time to ask you about your thoughts and to share my thoughts about Judge Bruce Schroeder. Now, prior to this podcast, I'll even say prior to the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, the closest you came to know about Bruce Schroeder was you knew people who were named Bruce, like Bruce Almighty or Bruce Lee or Bruce Willis. And if you knew anybody with the last name of Schroeder, it was most likely Ricky Schroeder back from the whatever show he was on any number of years ago as one of those child stars. Unless you were a Wisconsin trial lawyer, I doubt you knew about Bruce Schroeder. I didn't. And if you're honest with yourself, I doubt that you knew about him either. So why am I talking about Bruce Schroeder? Well, I said I would talk about Judge Schroeder. I told you I would offer my opinion about Bruce Schroeder. And when I said that, I got replies all across the gamut. I got people who were expressing their opinion, people who were expressing their opinion about his rulings, people who wanted to hear my thought about his position, about his demeanor. And I want to tell you what resonated with me, what really struck with me is how little the general public knows about the judges in the legal system. I mean, wow. I'm not here to talk about his rulings, whether it's appropriate or not to rule that the prosecution can't refer to a person who's a complaining witness or a complainant or someone who's a deceased or someone who's been injured in a case as a victim. I'm not here to talk about what I think about a judge granting motions in limine or denying them. I'm not here to talk about any of that. I'll talk about all of that and more when the trial is over, after a verdict is rendered. I'm not here to talk about that. What am I here to talk about? I'm here to talk about the way that Judge Schroeder acted on the bench at various times and how shocked I think people were at the way that he addressed the lawyers, at some of his comments, his demeanor, his jokes. I mean, when I read the commentary by people in comment sections on the news or people who were commenting on social media, it dawned on me that most of you have never been inside of a courtroom. Who did you think was presiding on, was sitting on the bench? Who did you think was occupying the judgeships or these were judges in various districts or counties all across the United States? I mean, I want you to imagine that in every town, there's a judge somewhere. Did you think that they were all judges that happened to have the Solomon-like wisdom or the patience of Job and the understanding and kindness of a deity? Did you think all were people that had given up their careers as successful lawyers in order to I'll give up my great career in order to go on the bench and dispense with the public good? Did you think is that what you thought? Did you think that they were judges like in England that were talking with a proper accent? And that's a terrible accent. By the way, I was trying to do my very best British accent. Of course, I can't do one. But did you think that they were actually, I mean, like judges in the English system wearing, like the white powdered wig, speaking proper, looking down at us over the top of a pair of reading glasses extended over the very bottom of their nose. There are some judges who are like that. I've tried cases in front of some of the best judges I think imaginable. There are some judges out there that are prepared to dispense justice. And I'm not talking about what side you're on or who you want to win a case or what you think is socially just. I'm talking about whether or not in a courtroom a judge gives a particular person a fair shake. There are plenty of judges that are out there that do that. And I'm not, just for all of those out there who are social justice warriors, I'm not here to jump on the back and to point the finger at this particular judge and to be critical of him because he happens to be, in this particular case, apparently leaning towards the defense or seems to lean towards the defense in this case. Lord knows that we need more judges on the bench who are understanding of the difficulty of defending somebody, who are understanding of the accused in a criminal case, and who are going to lean, if you will, towards erring on the side of the defendant against the state. So the fact that Judge Schroeder in this particular case has appeared to lean in favor of the defense at times is not what I'm here to talk about, nor am I going to be critical of that. Good for him if that's his normal way of approaching cases. I suspect it's not. I'd have to go review his entire, I guess, caseload, history, sentencing practices, or what have you, in order to know whether or not that's the way he typically rules or conducts himself when faced with a state prosecutor and a defendant and defense lawyer. My experience, and I believe the experience of most criminal defense lawyers out there, is that the judges tend to be lean towards the state. That what you've seen in this case, where this judge has been ruling with the defense, so it seems, and expressing frustration with the prosecution. If you go out there and you watch, what you'll see, I think, and if you were to ask criminal defense lawyers like me and my peers, what you'll see is the opposite. You'll see lawyers who complain that most of the time they feel like they're the ones on the receiving end of the judge's sarcasm, of the judge's hostility, of the judge's impatience, of the judge's frustration, of the judge's excusing the jury and dressing them down. I think if you were to go out there and you were to ask criminal defense lawyers, they would say that they are not surprised at the way Judge Schroeder is acting on the bench, but that they are more surprised that he is acting that way towards the prosecutor. I want to emphasize that again for all those in the back. Those in the back, if you're in the back over there, listen up. This is for you. Most criminal defense lawyers that I know would tell you that they are not surprised that a judge like Judge Schroeder is yelling, disparaging, or demeaning one of the lawyers in the case. They're just surprised that it's the prosecutor. So I say that because it dawns on me that most people have no idea that there are judges out there that do stuff like Judge Schroeder has appeared or is apparently doing in this case. Yelling at lawyers, demeaning the lawyers, attempting to embarrass the lawyers, or doing things, even if it's not with a design to demean, that have that effect. I can't tell you the number of times that we have to advise and teach young lawyers and remind ourselves as trial lawyers that when a judge is a difficult judge or is being difficult with us, as much as you want to give it back You want to yell back, or you want to have an exchange, or you want to tell the judge that he or she is being rude or intemperate or disparaging or demeaning or being unreasonable, that we can't. And we tell young lawyers, and we have to remind ourselves when we're in the middle of a battle on the wall of the courtroom, don't participate in this back and forth. You can't